there, and welcome to Time to Talk Traumatic Brain Injury, the podcast for survivors for the entire brain injury community, helping you live a more productive, healthy, and fun life. Today on Time to Talk Traumatic Brain Injury, we're going to have some idiom fun. Yes, idiom fun. Let's begin. What is an idiom, you ask? An idiom is a type of phrase or expression that has a meaning that can't be deciphered by defining the individual words. Appropriately, the word idiom is derived from the ancient Greek word idioma, which means peculiar phraseology. And that's exactly what it is, a phrase that's normal to fluent speakers, but strange to others. People who struggle with idioms often can't see the forest for the trees, which is itself an idiom used to describe someone who's too involved with the details of a situation and can't see the bigger picture at hand. It doesn't involve any forest or trees. To understand idioms a little bit better, let's have a look at some common ones used. You've all heard of this one before. Hold your horses. When someone bellows at you to hold your horses, don't go around panic-stricken, looking for a horse to hold. It simply means you need to stay put or slow down. This phrase has been used as early as Homer's Iliad. There have been many usages since then. Literal at first, which later on evolved into a figurative usage, meaning it's a way of telling someone to stop or slow down. An example: "Whoa, hold your horses. I'm not paying up. The game's far from over." This next example is one of my favorite idioms. It's called get your goat. When you get or steal a goat owned by somebody else, of course that person would get mad. But the origin of this idiom is far more interesting than that. This expression actually comes from horse racing, where goats are used to have a calming effect on thoroughbred horses. To calm down an easily upset horse, its owner would place a goat in its stall. Okay, no more horsing around. Today what we're going to do on Time to Talk Traumatic Brain Injury is we're going to challenge the survivors. We are going to place 10 English idioms and idiomatic expressions into a magic hat. From that, they have to draw one idiom or one idiomatic expression and try to explain the definition of what it means. The closer they get, the more points they get. This should be an awful lot of fun. Now, of course, every English idiom or idiomatic expression has to do with a very particular organ. That's the brain. Here are the idioms or idiomatic expressions that are going to be placed in the hat. Beat one's brains out. Brain like a sieve. All brawn and no brain. Have something on the brain. A no-brainer. Brains behind something. Pick someone's brain. Rack one's brain, and the final one, wrap your brain around something. Do the survivors know the answer to these idiomatic expressions? Let's find out. Okay, we've got our friend Eddie here. And Eddie, how are you doing today?
I am not your friend.
How are you doing today, Eddie?
I'm doing so good.
That's good. You look fantastic today.
Yeah.
And are you ready to play idiom expressions today?
I've never been more ready.
Are you serious? Okay, so what we're going to do today, we're going to give you the idioms to choose from the magic hat. And there's 10 idioms here, idiomatic expressions. And you're going to pick one, and you're going to tell me what you think it means in a definition, and then try to use it in a sentence. How do you feel about that?
I feel like an idiom just sitting here.
Okay, Eddie. So let's have a look at what you're going to choose. Here's the magic hat. And why don't you choose one right now? And go ahead, choose from the hat. And you've chosen brain like a sieve. Brain like a sieve. What do you think that means?
Oy, I can relate to that.
So brain like a sieve.
Information in, information gone. Or it just flows right through you. Okay, my brain accepts the information and then it just kind of dusts.
So kind of like a forgetfulness.
Yeah.
Okay, brain like a sieve, you think is forgetfulness. Now what we're going to do, we're going to go through the actual definition. And brain like a sieve, the actual definition for brain like a sieve is someone who has a brain like a sieve has a very bad memory and forgets things easily.
So
Can you use it?
I was way off.
Can you use it in a sentence? Forget things easily. Can you use that in a sentence? A brain like a sieve?
I've lost my keys so many times. My brain's like a sieve.
Not bad, not bad. So you said you've got a brain like a sieve. That means you forgot your keys. You got a brain like a sieve. So this one says, I've got a brain like a sieve these days. I forgot to buy bread again. So there's an example.
Again?
So there is brain like a sieve. You want to choose another one?
No toast today.
Here you go, Eddie. Choose another one. Here's another idiom or idiomatic expression. And there you go. And you chose pick someone's brain. What do you mean by pick someone's brain?
Well, because I'm so forgetful, I'm going to have to pick someone else's brain for the information on whatever we're talking about.
Okay, could you use it in a sentence to pick someone's brain?
I wasn't paying attention in class, so I'd like to come and pick your brain.
Okay, so that's pick your brain is getting information from somebody else.
Yeah.
And the definition is if you pick someone's brain, you ask questions about a particular subject in order to obtain advice or information. Could we have lunch together? I'd like to pick your brain about something.
When pigs fly.
When pigs fly? That's another idiom. We're not going to talk about that one. Okay, now we can choose one more before we go to Pat. You're getting pretty close with these idioms, Eddie. You're doing really well today.
La 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 la.
Okay, here we go. Your next idiom is, this looks kind of violent. This one says, beat one's brains out. Beat one's brains out. What do you mean by that?
Oh, man, I was so mad at that guy for cutting in front of me in line. I wanted to beat his brains out.
So what do you mean by beating someone's brains out? What do you mean
Give
by
him
that?
a real whooping.
Oh, you mean beating someone up?
Yeah.
Oh.
He's going to be so beaten that he's going to be...
So it is kind of a violent
It's-
idiom, isn't it?
yeah.
Really, it means violence. Well, it says here that beat someone's brains out is someone beats their brains out. They try very hard to understand something to solve a problem. So it really isn't dealing with another person by beating someone up. Yes, beat one's brains out. If someone beats their brains out, they try very hard to understand something or solve a problem. My grandmother beats her brains out every evening trying to do the crossword puzzle in the newspaper. Okay, so beating someone's brains out is not it's not beating someone's brains out where we're actually fighting someone. It's beating your brains out. And so doing something, going an extra effort to find someone. You want one more?
Sure.
One more idiom? Okay, here we go. And Pat, you're next. Are you looking forward to coming, Pat? Pat's in the guest chair. Here we go. Your next idiom is rack one's brains. Rack one's brains.
Problem is so complex, I've been racking my brain for hours.
And what do you mean by racking your brain? What does it think it means?
Thoroughly pondering.
The what?
Thoroughly pondering the subject.
Thoroughly pondering a subject. Well, it says here, rack one's brains. If you rack your brains, you try very hard to think of something or remember something. Christmas is always a hassle for me. I have to rack my brains every year to find ideas for presents. So you're thinking very hard about something. You're racking your brains, thinking very hard about something to remember. Something to remember. Have you ever racked your brains before for something specific? Like, I know you write a lot of lyrics. Do you ever find out racking your brains when you're looking for lyrics or trying to remember things you've written?
Well, yeah. I find that if it's something that I've written, then it just...
It's pretty automatic.
Yeah, it kind of pops in. It's like...
Has there been any situation as a survivor, brain injury survivor, have you given any examples of racking your brains? Racking your brains. Really searching for something, trying to remember something.
Quite often when I'm missing something.
So you're missing your keys or missing something. You really rack your brain. And how do you do it, Eddie? Do you try to regroup or try to rewind?
Try and figure out where I've been and where I could have dropped them or left them.
Now, you told me a couple days ago you have a wonderful thing called a...
AirTag.
AirTag. AirTags are obviously little devices that go on to an object, and you can trace them through your app or your computer. And a lot of people use them for luggage. Of course, I had one for my luggage to find out where my luggage was when I fly. And I see you have one right there on your keychain. So how does an AirTag work, Eddie, for you?
Well, I can find where my keys are.
Mm-hmm.
As in, it'll show me on a map.
Oh, it shows you on a map where they are.
Yeah. And when you get close, you can make it go.
Oh, okay. And are these, is it help for you, this AirTag?
Yeah, I lose them in my apartment all the
Now,
time.
you tell me that you have AirTags on everything almost.
On my wallet, on
Good
my
job.
keys, on my video game system.
Do you recommend this for brain injury survivors to have AirTags?
Yes, or there's another one called Tile.
And what's Tile?
It's a different brand.
Okay, but it's like an AirTag.
AirTags are Apple, and then Tile is some other brand.
Okay, well, thanks so much, Eddie. You did very well on the idiomatic expressions today. And now we'll bring in our next contestant, Pat. Thanks, Eddie. And our next man in the hot seat is Survivor Pat. And Pat's going to look at these idiomatic expressions and he's going to choose one from the hat. Okay, Pat, go ahead and choose one. And you have chosen this one. It says, have something on the brain. Have something on the brain. What do you think that means, to have something on the brain?
The brain, it has something. I don't want to use it.
Oh, you have something on the brain, so you're thinking about something specific, you think?
Yeah.
It says here having something on the brain. If you have something on the brain, you think or talk about it constantly. Stop talking about golf. You got golf on the brain. So do you have something on your brain what do you think about all the time? I know you love electricity, you love currents, things doing with woodworking. Do you have that on the brain all the time?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Really? I have, for me, I have basketball on the brain all the time. I love basketball. Ryan knows that. I have horses on the brain all the time. I'm constantly thinking about stuff I love. Do you think it's good for the brain of a survivor to constantly think about things that they love to do?
Yes, it's good.
It's good. You find it relaxing, lots of fun?
Yeah.
Okay. So that is having something on the brain. Okay, here's your next one. And your next one is you've chosen brains behind something. Brains behind something. What do you think that means?
Brains behind something.
Brains behind something. Mental block. And he's helping out saying a mental block.
Yeah, yes, that's good.
A mental block. Brains behind something. Any other guesses?
First lady. Behind every great man.
Oh, behind every great man is a great lady. Okay, that's actually good. Okay, here we go here. Someone who is brains behind a project or action is the person thought to have planned and organized everything. Someone who is brains behind a project or action is the person behind that has planned and organized everything. So your brains behind something. You're the one that planned everything.
Yeah.
Here's an example. The police have arrested a man believed to be the brains behind the bank robbery. So he was the man that instituted it. That's the man who thought about all the different ways to rob the bank. He was the brain. Have you ever been the brains behind something, Pat?
No.
You've never been the brains behind something? When you built your house, were you the brains behind building your house?
I guess so. Yeah.
Why were you the brains behind building your house? Because what did you do?
Well, I a whole brain.
When you built the house,
Yeah.
you came up with the architecture,
Yeah.
came up with the designs, came up with the blueprint, came up with the framing network, all the different aspects of building a house. You were the one that thought about it, and you were the brains behind building your house.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Okay, one more to go, Pat. Are you ready?
Yeah.
You look very excited.
Oh yeah.
Here you go. It is called All Brains and No Brawn. All brains and no brawn. What do you think that means, Pat?
What does brawn mean?
Eddie, it means strength. Eddie's helping us out here. Brawn means strength. All brains and no brawn.
All brains and no.
All brawn and no brain. All brawn and no brain. You hear about this with guys and gangs and guys and fights. Or in the gym. Yeah, you see a lot of guys in the gym. Oh, he looks like he's all brawn and no brains. So what do you think we mean by all brawn and no brain?
Good at brawn.
Yes. Okay, he's good at strength. Where to go, Pat? All brawn and no brain. Someone who is physically very strong but not very intelligent is said to be all brawn and no brains. He's so impressive. He's an impressive player to watch, but he's all brawn and no brains. Now, Pat, you are a hockey fan. I know that. Can you come up with an NHL hockey player that was I know one, that was all brawn and no brains? Give me an example of an NHL hockey player that was all brawn and no brains. He was very physically fit. He was an impressive player to watch, but he's all brawn, no brains. So he's very, very strong, but not very intelligent. Very strong player, but not very intelligent.
Yeah. Number 24.
Yeah, for who?
On Detroit.
Oh, Bob Probert.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Bob Probert was a monster. He wasn't a very intelligent guy, but man, could he fight. You know who I thought was also like Bob Probert was Ty Domi.
Yeah.
He was definitely all brawn and no brains. I mean, he was a good hockey player, but he was definitely a fighter. And Semenko, he was definitely a fighter. So those guys would be examples of all brawn and no brains. Well, thank you very much, Pat. That was really fun, man. I appreciate it. All right, the guys did very well on that idiomatic expression contest. And now something interesting. Eddie has come up with an idiom of his own that's related to brain injury. And the idiom is stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. Eddie, what do you mean by stay in your lane as related to brain injury?
Just know your limitations.
Know your limitations. Don't go beyond your limitations.
Yeah, don't step out of the box too far.
It's interesting because they always said when I had a brain injury, I'm sure with you gentlemen too, that you have limitations, Greg. Don't go beyond these limitations or you're going to fail. Now, failing is a good thing because you learn by failing. But
Totally.
early on in the head injury, you want to stay within your limitations to see what you're capable
So you can
of.
ease into it.
Exactly, ease into it. So stay in your lane. It's a great idiom for people with brain injury. Thanks, Eddie. Well, thanks so much to all the guys at the Blue Sheet Clubhouse for coming up with their efforts with the idiomatic expressions. You know what? It's fun coming up with your own idioms, and if you can come up with one that's dealing with head injury, that'd be really fun to deal with and talk about it with your friends or colleagues or other brain injury survivors. Thanks again for joining us. We look forward to talking to you in a couple of weeks with another fun podcast. Take care. Bye-bye.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are solely those of the Time to Talk TBI panel and other contributors. These views and opinions do not necessarily represent those of the Cridge Center for the Family Brain Injury Services. We value your feedback and comments. Email us at tbipodcasts@cridge.org.